Life is a 2017 horror film that takes place in the International Space Station, which is nice to take place in an actual location. So, they find life on Mars in the soil. They bring it back, and then, like what every sci-fi movie does, they're like, oh, neat. Let's interact with this bizarre alien life form. Huh. It's getting bigger. Yep. Cool, let's keep playing around with it. Let's not find out a tremendous amount about it. Let's keep on playing around with it. And then, of course, it turns hostile. And then pretty much takes over the ship. The first about half an hour of this film, where they're actually up there and they're talking with their families, they're doing communications back with, kids that want the ability to ask the astronauts questions. I actually felt pretty interesting. Like, oh, it's different to see, a film take this sort of slow burn approach to it. But then once creatures involved, you're like, okay, it looks interesting. It looks very alien, like something we hadn't seen before. And then as it changes, and gets bigger, and bigger, and bigger. I say bigger in reference because it starts out like single cell to, multi-cellular and all that. And I was like, okay. This film is shot beautifully. I will say the cinematography and the sound are fantastic with this. I can imagine seeing this in theaters, you probably would have felt undeniably claustrophobic. They did some great jobs when it came to going, okay, we're in space. Everything. There's going to be tight shots, long corridor shots, things going to be floating around. That they did an excellent job with. But the characters felt really stock, and once it went to generic, we're stuck in space horror film, you're like, oh. I bet you I can figure out every single thing they're going to do from here at the end of the film. And there's some okay acting. It felt like, looking at who was in there with, Jake Gyllenhaal, Ryan Reynolds, it felt like, these are people who, when given right material, can produce some very solid acting performances. Just didn't seem to kind of fully gel. Maybe it's because they had acted across a CGI organism. Actually, the time that Ryan Reynolds acts against is actually very well. But aside that opening half an hour, 40 minutes, where it feels kind of different, when you tell it that slow burn before it becomes an actual horror film, it's actually pretty good. So Act 1 is good. Second half of Act 2, when it starts ramping up, starts to kind of fall apart. And by the time you get to the end of this film, it's fallen off the rails a lot. So, content we've seen a lot of, shot beautifully. It's a meh